I've had stretches in my life where I haven't felt like myself, where the world has felt dark, scary, and dangerous, where small things felt heavy and big things felt impossible. I'm not going to make this episode about any of those stretches specifically. I've also had up-close experiences with people when they are struggling with their mental health. My parents come to mind. Both of my parents have had pretty significant mental health struggles, especially throughout my childhood. And those were challenging to experience for a number of different reasons. But I also feel kind of grateful for those experiences because they've allowed me to understand mental health in a really personal and visceral way. The lesson that I have for you here today is that mental health is as important, if not more important, than physical health. I just did a 3-part series on physical health, right? On exercise, eating well, sleeping well. And now I'm going to sort of tie off the health series with this episode about mental health. And there's a distinction that I want to make in this episode, which is the distinction between mental health and mental fitness. This is a distinction that I think is unique. I haven't heard a lot of people discuss this distinction. And I'll tell you sort of how I frame mental health and mental fitness. So to me, mental health and health in general is the absence of disease, right? So what is physical health? Physical health is the absence of disease. Mental health is the absence of mental illness. Now, there are a lot of different types of mental illness that can afflict someone. Some of these are controllable. Some of these are not controllable, right? Some of the ones that seem to me to be controllable are depression, maybe anxiety. Some of the mental health illnesses that seem to be not controllable are things like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, right? So I think it's important to approach mental health with compassion, right? My tendency is to blame people when they are mentally unwell. And, we could explore why I had this tendency. I guess I just wanted to name it and maybe, ask you if it's something that you see within yourself. But anyways, mental health is a lack of mental illness. Mental fitness, on the other hand, to me, is where you have the opportunity to develop mental strength, right? So not only do we want a lack of mental illness, but we also want mental strength that we can call on when life gets tough. So I think discussing both concepts of how do we develop mental health and also how do we develop mental fitness is helpful when having a full discussion of mental health, right? So to me, mental health is the floor. We want to be disease-free, but then mental fitness is the ceiling. And what's exciting about mental fitness is that there's really no limit to how mentally fit you can be. And there are many different ways that I think you can develop mental fitness. So welcome to this channel. My name's Ryan Weiss. This is the Ryan Weiss Show. If you're new to the channel, I'm doing a video series here called Lessons for My Kids, where I'm releasing one video per week on a lesson that I think is vital for my kids to learn by the time they become adults. And this episode is on mental health and mental fitness. Now, before we get into this, I just want to frame sort of the mental health discussion with some specific numbers so we can understand how big of a deal this actually is in America, right? So right now, 1 in 4 adults have a mental health condition. And in 2024, nearly half got no treatment. So this means about 10%, or 12.5% really, about 1 in 10 Americans have an untreated mental illness. About 21.4 million people in America in 2024 had a major depressive episode. 20% of US adults have an anxiety disorder in any given year. 31% will experience one at least some point in their life. So that's almost 1 in 3 people you meet have some type of anxiety disorder. And then the real tragedy that I think can occur, sort of like the final peak, is suicide, right? So poor mental health can obviously make your life much more difficult and much less enjoyable. But really, where mental health can get tragic is where it can result in the end of your life. And in 2024, 49,000 people killed themselves in America. And men are about 4 times more likely to kill themselves than women. Men make up 50% of the population in America, but 80% of suicide deaths. So 4 out of every 5 suicides is a man. So this is something, I care a lot about men. So this is something that is particularly close to my heart, knowing that men are so much more likely to kill themselves than women. So mental health, it's a big concern. It's almost certain that some of my children or some of my grandchildren are going to have mental health challenges. So I want to talk about, number 1, how to protect your mental health, and then number 2, how to develop mental fitness. So first, how to protect mental health. I have sort of 5 ideas about how to protect mental health, and we'll go through them. I think they sort of build the initial foundation of mental health, right? So number 1 is sleep. I just released a video on the importance of sleep. I recommend you watch that. Sleep deprivation alone can mimic depression. At a minimum, you got to be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Number 2 is sunlight and movement. I think it's critical to get outside every day and move your body every day. The data on exercise as a treatment for mild to moderate depression is actually stronger than some medications, and walking counts as exercise. So I think that this is just absolutely critical to exercise and get sunlight. Number 3 is eat real food. The standard American diet is one of hyper-processed foods, high sugar, very addictive foods. And so eating real food can substantially affect your mood and your mental well-being. It can also affect your gut health, and there's some amazing connections between gut health and mental health. Number 4 is connect with others. This is critical. Humans are social animals. Loneliness is a public health crisis. CDC data shows that adults who live alone report depression at significantly higher rates than those who live with others. And it's important to connect with people in a deep and meaningful way, right? Oftentimes in life, you have these sort of shallow, courteous relationships, right? Like your relationship with your coworkers, or your relationship with acquaintances, or just people that you sort of see casually, but they don't really know you. It's important to have people who know you and know you deeply, and you can share things with. And I just want to say too, one of the best ways to have someone really care about you is to first start by really caring about someone else. Sometimes the best way to get what you want in life is to give it to other people first. And so if you want people to really notice you and care about you, try really noticing and caring about other people. And then what I found in my life is that when I find a way to give other people what I want, I seem to start to get it myself. And then number 5 way to protect your mental health is to have a purpose, have something bigger than yourself, right? Have a job you care about, have a family, have a mission, maybe consider having a faith or spiritual practice that means a lot to you. People without purpose tend to deteriorate, right? Human beings were made for physical and mental load. We were put here to work, and without work that means something, and I don't just mean working for money, I mean working for meaning, it's easy to deteriorate. Now I want to switch over to mental fitness, right? So this is the part that people will often not teach. They'll focus on how to be disease-free, but they don't focus on how to build mental strength. So I have five different principles for how to build mental strength. The first is do hard things on purpose. Voluntarily put yourself in uncomfortable situations. So this can be cold showers, this could be hard workouts, this could be hard conversations, public speaking, anything that builds the muscle of being uncomfortable and continuing anyways. Comfort, in my experience, is a slow killer of resilience. So I recommend getting outside of your comfort zone consistently and practicing the feeling of purposefully making yourself uncomfortable and knowing that you're going to survive. Number two, get reps with adversity. So you can't build mental strength by reading about it. You build it by failing, recovering, and trying again. Don't shield yourself from struggle, right? And don't shield your kids from struggle either. I think that you have to have some amount of measured risk to build resilience, right? Kids who are sheltered often become fragile, whereas kids who can experience adversity in sort of a safe way develop strength and resilience. Number three is train your inputs. So what you put in your mind matters as much as what you put in your body. I talked about mental inputs in a previous video, but there are a lot of inputs that are available to you that will degrade your mental fitness. Social media is one of those things. The news is one of those things. Oftentimes social media and the news are designed to make you compare, designed to make you anxious, designed to make you scared. And oftentimes that's because the news and social media are designed by marketers. And marketers are skilled in triggering emotions in people designed to get them to take specific actions that benefit the marketers. And so you need to recognize this when you're consuming media and ask yourself, is this media, is this movie, is this show, is this video I'm watching, is whatever, designed to trigger a certain emotional reaction in me to get me to do something that benefits the producer of the media? Number four, develop a Stoic core. So Stoicism is a topic that I've been interested in. I'm by no means an expert, but this is something that I like to study and sort of think about. It seems to me that one of the core teachings of Stoicism is recognizing you have no control over what happens to you, but you have total control over what you decide to do about it. And recognizing this can give you a certain amount of peace in your life, right? That you don't control the outcome, you control your inputs. It can really give you sort of a peaceful, detached sense from the outcomes, right? So if you have a goal to, whatever, make a certain amount of money or get married or such and such, applying a Stoic philosophy to that makes it so that if you don't hit your goal, it's not devastating to you because you know that you controlled your outputs and you put in, your maximum effort in your outputs. in your inputs. Number five, for building mental fitness, I would recommend practicing self-awareness and especially self-inquiry. So pay attention to what's actually going on inside you. I am amazed at how curative simple awareness can be, and how oftentimes people will seek to distract themselves as a mechanism for avoiding some work or some progress or something that they have to actually fix in their life. So practice self-awareness, consider some kind of meditation or journaling or reflection habit, and I think that that's a great way to help develop mental fitness. Now, I want to talk just briefly about mental crises, because this is sort of like the worst case scenario of mental health and mental fitness. There is a point, I think, where you need to consider getting real help. And if any of these describe you, you should consider getting serious real help. So number one, you haven't been able to enjoy anything in weeks. Number two, you can't sleep or you can't stop sleeping. Number three, you're using substances to get through the day. Number four, you're isolating from everyone. Number five, you're having thoughts of hurting yourself or thoughts that the world would be better without you in it. Or finally, you're making a plan, some type of plan to harm yourself, harm others, And the last one I want to talk a little bit more about directly, right? So on suicide, I talked about the suicide stats earlier. One of the things that you need to understand about mental illness is that it creates a warped perception, right? So you start to think that the world might be a better place without you in it. The thing that you need to understand is, number one, that's a lie, right? You're not seeing the world clearly. And people who survive suicide attempts almost universally say afterwards that they're glad they survived. And what you should do if you're in a situation like that is you should call someone immediately, and you should start to see if you can create a plan to get some professional help. And the thing that you need to understand is that there's no shame in asking for help and seeking help. And I think that there is shame in killing yourself, right? And it's not too late until it is too late. And the world has never been improved by someone deciding to end their life. So in close, consider the difference between mental health, the lack of illness, and mental fitness, the development of mental strength. Try to avoid the topic of mental health with compassion, loving, and understanding, and avoid shame and blame. And treat this topic with the importance and respect that it deserves, right? A lot of people are suffering from mental health issues. It's not a shameful thing. It's a very common thing. Help is available, and consider these habits and these processes that I described to build your mental health and build your mental fitness. Thanks very much for watching. This has been Ryan Weiss with The Ryan Weiss Show. I'll talk to you later.